DB Talk Show tonight. And then we're also happy to have two wonderful guests that are going to talk about a great topic: how to nurture and develop the entrepreneurial spirit within you to take action. We have we have this topic that people always have desire. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. They never take action. This show is for you. Please be part of that show. If you have questions, if you have comment, don't hesitate to tap that on the show. We're going to have first of all Mark, and also we have Steve. Both of them are businessmen. They get a lot of experiences that can help you how to develop the spirit of business that you have. Welcome to our platform, Mark. How are you doing, Mark?
Wonderful, wonderful. Glad to be here. Glad to be with you, and glad to be with Steve. Nice to meet you. I'm looking forward to the next, I guess, few minutes or however long that the podcast is today, and be with your audience. So I'm looking forward to that.
Thank you so much, Mark. Steve, how are you doing? Let me know more. How do you feel?
Sure, doing great, Daniel. It's so great to be with you again. And Mark, wonderful to meet you. And I look forward to sharing some information that can help some people to get from where they are right now to get a little more taste of being an entrepreneur. And of course, the joys and the challenges that come with that. So just nice, open, honest conversation tonight. Looking forward to it.
Thank you, Steve. Steve, I'm going to thank you so much. And then, Mark, I'm going to help you be the first person speaking as you're the first launch. And then, Mark, talk about yourself a little bit. And basically, I can everybody, Mark is my best friend. As my best friend is the one that can help me since 2020. And then this podcast that I'm doing right now, this is a fruit of his advice by the grace of the Lord. I remember when I published my first book, he told me, Daniel, what about doing a podcast? I said, okay, I'm gonna try. And that podcast right now, which out many thousand people from different countries. And I'm glad I can bring Mark for the first time in my platform to talk about his experiences business. Mark, you get a microphone. Talk to us a little bit about yourself.
All right, thank you very much, Daniel. Daniel and I have, I mean, we've gone way, way back actually in Haiti. We met in Haiti several years ago. We went to the same church. Um, and then I moved to the US, but we kept in touch. And glad to be here on your show. So like Daniel said, my name is Mark Centellus, originally from Haiti. I came to the U.S. For college. I went to Berea College where I got a bachelor's degree in business administration with a concentration in finance. And then after I graduated from my undergrad, I went to Southern Illinois University and got a master's in economics and finance with a concentration in finance. And then after graduation, I started working, corporate America. Actually, started working in sales, actually with the finance degree, and then moved to accounting, audit, and finance. So I've had about like 22 years experience in corporate America. Move up the corporate ladder and responsible for an entire finance and accounting department for the company I currently work for the entire America. So that's the U.S. and then a couple countries in South America where the entire finance team and accounting team reports to me. In addition to that, I also taught finance classes for University of Phoenix online. And then I also consider myself a serial entrepreneur because, when I think about, you know, um, life in general, and then how do you create, financial freedom? For me, that's, one of the key things. To do that, you need to think beyond just, a job, working, but, how do you create that? It requires more than just, working for somebody and earning an income, but, to create other source of income. So when you stop working, you have money coming in for you. So entrepreneurship is something that I think I probably have in me ever since I was little. Growing up in Haiti, I remember when I was a kid, I was always finding stuff to do and sell to other kids in the neighborhood. I'll go to church and then they'll teach you how to make these, bracelets and stuff. So I learned how to make them and then design them and sell it to other kids, because I always wanted to make my own money and not depending on my parents giving me money to spend, and be able to do that. Later on, I learned how to design, Christmas card or greeting cards, in Haiti. I would make them. I started making them
I
by
remember
myself. And I used to. I think I remember. I used to teach you and a couple of guys and try to teach you how to make them. So I'll design those,
them.
and then I quickly learned that doing it myself because the day, of course, at the time I was in school. I was in school, and so I have limited amount of time that I can put towards that. So that means there are limited amount of cards that I can produce. So what I did, I found some cousins that I have and other friends. I teach them how to make it, and then they also make it, and then I take it and then sell those cards, and then share the profit with them. Of course, I paid him to make it, but we share the markup on those. So that, that's a spirit that I've had from the time I was, very young, because I always, think about, how to create things, how to solve problem. So that has helped me, quite a bit, to put me where I am today. And today is something that I continue, doing. I've invested in different businesses. And then, of course, you know, as any entrepreneur would know or would tell you, entrepreneurship is not something that's easy, and it comes with risk, right?
Mhm,
Not every venture that I invest in, is successful. There were some that flop.
mhm,
I invested in Haiti, where I started. I saw there was an opportunity there, and of course I wanted to help. That was after the earthquake in Haiti, and I was reading in the news all the time that how the Haitians were going to the Dominican Republic to buy chicken and eggs, and I was like, okay, there is an opportunity there, because there is a problem, and that of course there wasn't enough chicken for meat that was produced in Haiti, and eggs for the Haitian consumption, so they were going all the way to the Dominican Republic. So that was the problem. And then I was like, okay, so there's an opportunity, of course, to create something and do it in Haiti where they don't have to travel all the way to the Dominican Republic to do that. And then also at the same time create jobs in the local economy. So I started a chicken farm there. Um, and of course, as many people probably would know, with the situation in Haiti, the political situation, I had to stop operation there, for a couple years now, because I can't even travel to Haiti. So those are risks that people who invest entrepreneur takes, and those things that come with risk. But it's something that I know could potentially happen, because I know from 1986, Haiti has been a country that's been somewhat unstable. It's not very stable. They always have some issues and stuff. So there was a political risk there, of course. And then which is one of the key reasons why when you're creating a business, you have to have a business plan. You have to have a business plan and try to understand the landscape that you're operating in, and try to find mitigating control for those as well. But of course, the political situation in Haiti, there isn't much you can do there. And I've also started business in the Dominican Republic as well. Of course, I have one that's still going on, that's working fine. But there is another one that I started prior to that didn't work. So those are all lessons that I've learned throughout my career, whether it's in the corporate world or the entrepreneurship piece, stuff that I've done, my personal life, other type of investment that I'm trying to use those experiences to teach people, and help them, so they don't make those same mistakes as well. So for me, when I think about what you talk about, entrepreneurship, is how do you define that? What is the an entrepreneur? To me, it's somebody who create, right? And any economy, for it to function, you need entrepreneur. You need entrepreneur because and most countries around the world, unless it's socialist or communist countries or whatever, where government controls everything, the private sector, that's where most of the jobs are being created. All the innovations, all the problem, that we face, it's a private sector, sometimes in collaboration with government and stuff, that find solutions, to those problems, and helping, creating jobs, and make the that economy function. Um, so entrepreneur is key to advancing any economy, growing any economy, and the wealthiest countries, that you have in the world, like in the US, for example, it's driven by people finding solution to problem and creating, wealth in the economy, for themselves and then for everybody. I mean, there are a lot of examples, of stuff that today that we didn't have before that we have. Like, say, for example, if you take Airbnb, or Uber, those are stuff that we didn't have several years ago. I mean, Facebook, TikTok, all those, innovations and stuff, that we never had. It's, entrepreneur that have an idea, solve problem, and then they come and solve those problems. I mean, it involves taking risks, like I mentioned, earlier. Because going into a new venture, it could flop. You could put a lot of money into something and then it doesn't work. In particular, businesses that involve in doing research, sometimes when you're doing research, it takes several years, to get into, final product. Like for example, the company that I work for, and I've worked for, another multinational as well prior to that, where, before you have a product that you can sell, sometimes it takes between 8 to 10 years, where you're putting money into something you don't even know whether it's going to work. So that requires risk, and it requires guts, because you could put millions and millions of dollars invested into something, and then at the end of the day you have to give up because it doesn't work, or it's not producing what you're looking for. But sometimes when it works, you could have that one product that becomes very, very helpful, and create billions and billions of dollars of revenue for you. So it requires a specific mindset, as well. About, like, because not everybody has that. I mean, one great example, I think, you have a guy like, Elon Musk, like him or not or whatnot, he's probably a good example of, somebody who's an entrepreneur that take risks and see opportunities and create new things. Tesla, for example, with or SpaceX, two great companies that he's been involved with. Yeah, I mean, prior to that, you had like Toyota, that had like a hybrid car, but we never had like a fully, vehicle that's fully electric, right? And he did that. He started, he get that, and it's you see them everywhere now, and it works. SpaceX, that's another big venture that he is involved in, pretty very important for the economy and for the world as well. So and then also, if you talk about um problem solving, the Lyft and the Uber example that I talked about earlier, those are great examples of companies that solve problem and then find a solution and solve them. Today, you could go and stay somewhere for probably cheaper, if you go, at than you would have, if you were to go in a hotel and find more space. And of course, there may be some people who like it, don't like it, or whatever, but it provide options. Uber, that's or Lyft, there's another, great companies that we have today that we didn't have several years ago. where I mean it's very easy. Right now if you want a car, very easy. It's quicker and cheaper in a sense, compared to what people used to pay years ago. Getting a taxi if you needed to go somewhere, and also create opportunities for people. So people who to start like years ago, if you wanted to start like I guess a taxi business or whatever, all the stuff that you have to do, several cars, this and that, the legal aspect of it. Where today, all that stuff will be gone. If you wanted, you want to make a little bit of money, you want to do taxi, you could apply, get onto the Uber, or Lyft platform, and then you can earn some money without having to deal with all the hassles of creating. So those are great examples of entrepreneur that impacting the overall economy. And on entrepreneur as well, it's you have to have management skills, because once you create a business, in particular initially, you're going to be most likely the one doing a lot of the different things. It's very important that you have certain skill set and so forth. But at the end of the day, you don't have to do it alone as well. And that's where, and I guess the last point I'll touch on, the importance of having a business plan when when you're creating a business. And I mean, I know there are a lot of examples out there where people who started business, tell you that something that they just put on a piece of napkin or something like this, an idea that they have, and then it turn into a business, right? But at the end of the day, yeah, that may get you started, but to take that idea and grow it and make it to like a multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar business, you have to have a strategic plan. You have to have a plan. You have to have a go-to-market plan. You have to understand the economy. You have to understand, you have to make projections. Like earlier, I think I was in a call and I was talking about, the importance of that, because many business that started fail, and a lot of time they fail. It's not because it's a bad idea. It's part of it is execution, and then sometimes it's because of lack of a plan, and part of that because of money. Because you may have an idea and it probably gonna take you 2 or 3 years to turn profit. But if you didn't have a plan, you didn't have a projection where you didn't plan for that, then you may hit a point where, boy, you don't have any money and you don't know where to get it, and then you ended up having to close your business. But not because the business it's a bad idea. But if you had a plan, and then you really sit down and look at the opportunities, the risks, and then you do your projections, and you probably say, okay, yes, I'll start today, but it's probably going to take me 2 years or whatnot based on my projections and what I need to do in order to hit profitability. And then based on that, then you understand, okay, how do I get funding during that time to keep the business going until I can cash flow and be able for the business can support itself. Then you have a plan for that, right? Of course, if you're lucky, you may hit your projections ahead of time, and that never happened. But having that plan is very very important. And then part of that is relying on other people or other experts, for things that you're not very good at, not comfortable with or whatnot. Because everybody have the strengths, everybody have the weaknesses. Um, you know, uh, like for example, when Facebook first started, right? Initially they were not making much money, and when Mark Zuckerberg wanted to start monetize Facebook and generate revenue, what he had to do, because that was not his skill set. So he went and recruit Cheryl, who was working for Google at the time, and because she had experience in that area, and then brought her on board, and to help monetize Facebook. And today, Facebook is one of the most valuable company in the world. They're generating billions and billions of dollars, and they're creating profit for the owners of the company. People who invest in Facebook, they're making good money. So it works. So that's why it's very important, to know what your strengths are, and then what you weak at is find those resources. As new entrepreneur, you may not have money to hire, somebody full time on stuff, but there may be coaching that you could receive or consulting. You may not have, okay, I'm not good in marketing, or I'm not good in finance or whatnot. You may not have money to hire like a full time CFO, for your company, or marketing manager or whatever. But maybe you can consult with them. Hey, can I talk to you for a couple hours or whatever? Right? When you get some ideas, and then you try to implement those, into your business. So not necessarily you have to hire people at the beginning, but don't be afraid to consult and seek help, for the things that you're not very good at, because that's one way you become very successful. um so those are the things that I wanted to talk about in general. So I don't know if you have any questions, Daniel, or stuff that maybe you want some clarity that I would like to that I could expand on.
Yes, Mark. And then now, thank you for your comment about that great topic that you have tonight, everybody that watching. And then now we are talking about how to nurture and develop the entrepreneurial spirit within you to take action. Mark, as you know, many people did just speculate about what we're gonna do, the postpone thing for tomorrow. They say, okay, I would like to have more money, like to start a business, and that the reason because they expected to get a lot of money to start a business. They never said until that dream or that passion they have goes away. How can we have those people who have passion of business, but they're waiting for to have a lot of money? Maybe they say, I would like to go to a bank that can I could have maybe like 100,000 or $20,000 to start my business. How could I have those people do not put things for tomorrow, postpone the dream? How can I have them that way?
Yeah. So again, I think beginning of the call, we talk about actions, right? And it's, I mean, depending on the business, yeah, you may, that would dictate or how much funding you need. The key thing is, if you're passionate about something, um, I'm sure you're gonna make it happen, right? The key thing is, if you don't have the funding, it's probably, that's where it's probably very important to have a very good plan. You put a plan in place, you do your homework and so forth, and then of course, if you have credibility in the area, you could go to people, friends, or friends of friends, or whatever. There are ways that you could share your business plan and say, this is the idea that I have, and I need funding, for this stuff. Yeah, you may, and you're probably not gonna get yes every single person you talk to, but if you send it to 100, 100 people, I'm guarantee you're probably gonna find maybe at least one who probably gonna say, okay, I'll take a chance, on you, and get this stuff. But you have to have a good plan, and then you have to be honest, about it. It's not, when you do a business plan, it's not all about, like, um, everything gonna be rosy and 100% guaranteed that everything gonna, because if somebody say, if I'm reading this, as somebody who understand how business works and understand the risk, um, and somebody give me a business plan and all that show is positive, 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 I'm probably not going to even, entertain that, because I know that's not the case, because every business, there are some risks that, associated with that, because I would like to see the person also address those risks, and I mean, talk about them, and have a, some type of plan, and how they address it. There's something they call SWOT analysis, in business, where you talk about, strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threat. Um, so the person, kind of look at all those different things, and then have a mitigating control over those, because that's something that I like to see. So having a plan is very important. The other piece as well is sometimes when you want something, bad enough, is, you sometimes you have to make sacrifices. If you can't find the funding, sometimes you have to make the first step, get started, whether it is like, what, yeah, I have my full-time job. I want to get that business going. I need a little bit of money. Maybe I need to make some sacrifice, my finances, find some money I can save, so I can start that business, or find another part-time job, or is there some, freelancing, different things that maybe you could do to find extra money to get that business started. And once you get started, to grow it, then people. Yeah, I mean, when you get started and you go to somebody else and say, "Hey, this is what I am. This is what I've accomplished, and I want to take this thing to the next level." And a lot of time, people will be willing to take that journey with you when they see that you are making an effort or you are doing something, to make it happen. So those are a couple of things that could do. Of course, having a plan is very important. If you don't have any money at all and you're gonna have to depend on investors, you have to have a very good plan. The other thing is you can start small, because starting a business, you don't have every single big. Well, I mean, I say every single because I don't know. A lot of the big businesses that you see today, they all started very small. Walmart started as one little store. McDonald's started at one little restaurant. Now they're all over the place. Facebook was very small. Amazon started, and Google. All those business that you see, that major large corporation, they all started very small with very little money. And then now they're multi-billion-dollar companies, some worth trillions of dollars, in the market. So that can happen. You don't have to start big. You can start small and then have plan to grow it to something big.
Correct. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mark. I don't know if Steve have a question for Mark before we get you to speak about that topic. Steve, do you have a question for Mark?
No, I love everything that Mark had to say with that, and I love that he included passion in there, because passion is something that I think is a requirement for it. And having had a couple of little ventures that did not go very well, because at the bottom of it, I didn't have a passion for it, which meant I didn't put as much serious effort into it. So, if there's somebody out there now, Mark, what would you say if maybe they have a full time job? They may have a family, they have other things going, and they have this idea. What do you think has been the greatest thing over the past decade or so, the technology that's developed to help these people, even if they're just on their own right now? What do you think are some of the easiest tools that they can find to maybe get themselves to at least out of the starting gate or up to the next level? What are some of the tools that you think are the most helpful that most of us do have access to?
Yeah, that's a great question. And actually, I had a conversation earlier where I talk about technology overall, and how people can use these tools. I mean, you know, Facebook, TikTok, all different tools, and that people are using today, where you you have opportunity to reach the entire world, with this platform. So there are a lot of opportunities that we did not have before. Years ago, where today this platform allow us to reach to a broader audience, and then the learning opportunities as well. Today there are so many different platforms that offers free tools to learn about something new. If you want to learn about, I give you an example. I wanted to learn about contract law, because in my role I read a lot about contracts and signing contracts and so forth. So I wanted to learn about that, and then I went on. So you have Harvard Extended School. They have some classes online they offer for free. And I went, and of course at night after work, spent some time, and I took a class on contract law. I mean, it's self-paced, of course, and learn about it, right? And take the read the materials, do the exercise, and so forth and so forth. So there are so many different tools. Number one, technology, that opens the world to us, and then also the learning opportunities, where we could learn about so many things that give us opportunity that we did not have. before. I mean, even for business creation as well, where I talk about creating business with no money, is you could have certain skill set. Say if you're good in math, you're good in physics or whatever, where you can offer tutoring opportunities. You could be sitting in the Dominican Republic and you're tutoring somebody in New Hampshire, right? Who needs a tutoring and something, and because of the technology could allow you to do that. And of course you have to have the skill set, or if you need to learn about digital marketing, company, I may not be good about digital marketing, and then I want somebody to help me with marketing with my business. That person doesn't have to be residing in Houston, Texas, to do that work for me. That person could be anywhere around the world and be able to do that. So that technology just create this opportunities for a lot of people, for everyone. And I mean, we have, AI now, which is big. A lot of companies investing in this. And one thing I'm always encouraging people is just like, I mean, it's already here. It's not going to go away. The people who really embrace it and learn AI and how it works and I can then leverage it, those people would be very successful in the future. And those who don't, they're going to see the consequences, because it's here to stay.
Thank you.
Okay, Mark, thank you so much for the answer to Steve. Mark, how people can contact you? I know that you have a business that goes beyond every number, and anybody like to contact you to a specific coach to help them specifically, how they can find you, they can contact you.
Yeah, so that's a new venture. Well, it's been I guess in the universe, for a while, but until recently, a couple months ago, I guess it's when kind of relaunch it and get that going. So it's a consulting type business, helping people who want to start new business and how to create a business plan, and then also offer part-time or fractional CFO, services, want, that type of service, companies who can't afford to have a full-time, CFO or controllers or whatnot, and they want those type of services. We offer that. And then on the personal finance, piece as well. So that's something that I'm also passionate about, and helping, people, become financially free, and how do they manage the resources that they have and leverage that to invest, and whether it's in the stock market or other businesses, real estate, or and the like, to create that financial freedom. So I mean, of course, I'm on Facebook, TikTok, on there, behind every number. And then also, webpage, www.behind every number.com. So that's ways that can also, reach me. But I'm on all the social media: TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram.
Thank you, Mark. I will appreciate your presentation to everybody. I've been listening to Mark Centilus, and then it's your finance, CEO of Behind Every Number. Thank you, Mark. We appreciate your time. You can stay with us. Now we're going to have our other guest, Steve Ganlin. Is my friend that we met before we did a podcast presentation on Zoom. Now we have a chance to have it live on Facebook. Steve, you're going to talk about the same topic that Mark and I have been talking, asking questions. The same topic, everybody. I'm going to remind you the topic is, how to nurture and develop the entrepreneurial spirit within you to take action. Steve, you can talk now about that topic. People can listen and learn. Thank you so much, Steve.
Sure. My name is Steve Gamlin. I am currently 57 years old. And when I was 11 years old, I wanted to be a radio DJ, a stand up comedian, an author of my own books, and a teacher of people. And over the past 46 years, I have managed to do all of these. And in between, there were some serious crashes and burns, and then many what we
Hmm.
call learning experiences. And I took a lot of notes along the way. And
Mm-hmm.
when I was a kid, I always had an entrepreneurial spirit. I always had these ideas for ways to make money on the side of whatever I was doing for a job. And some of it was by necessity. I did enjoy a 10-year successful radio career as a rock morning show producer, a comedy writer, and eventually an on air DJ and personality. The challenge was that radio at the time, from 1992 to 2002, did not pay enough money at all. And what I started to do on the weekends at the urging of a friend was to DJ weddings and corporate events. So I started my own DJ business, which I had for 28 and a half years. I performed as the MC and DJ for 1,700 events over that time. And what you have to be careful of and be able to leverage yourself is not just be the entire company. Don't just be the king of a one person mountain. Because when the pandemic came along and
Mm-hmm.
all the events went away,
Hmm.
so did my business because it was so limited to me physically being somewhere
Mm-hmm.
to do that. In the early 2000s, around 2004, did become a keynote speaker and a stand up comedian. Did stand up comedy for 7 years and then just focused on just speaking and coaching people.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't coach people on how to start their business. Mine is a bit more of in the background. I help people to find out what their passions are.
Mm-hmm.
And if they do have an idea, something that they would like to do, and I just saw this phrase about 3 hours ago online again. And Mark, you've probably heard this as well. If you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. Oh my gosh, is that not the biggest lie I've ever heard? And I answered to this person, I said, okay, I hear this a lot, and I am in the personal development industry as a visualization strategist and a coach and a
Mm-hmm.
speaker as well. But let me tell you my reality when it comes to that phrase. I believe it's just a very dangerous phrase because some people just think if I'm passionate and I love something, if I do it, it won't feel like work. And that means everything Mark just said is going to scare the heck out of them
Mm-hmm.
because it is work, but it's worthwhile work. Everything I do is work, but it's worthwhile work. It helps
Yeah.
me to indulge in my passions. It helps me to do what I do best in this world.
Mm-hmm.
And it also opened my eyes to surrounding myself, just like Mark said, surround yourself with all the people who can do all the tasks that may
Mm-hmm.
not be your strength. If you can find people around you who are as passionate about those parts of being an entrepreneur, the marketing, the web design,
Mm-hmm.
the structure, the finance, and
Mm-hmm.
everything. And as I tell my mentors and coaches, because I have them, I
Mm-hmm.
said, look, when 2026 happens, all I want to do is speak, write, and coach. And I've managed to
Cool.
surround myself with all of the other people necessary. So if you've got a passion for something, understand it's going to be a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
Understand things are going to happen to get in the way. I mean, the pandemic wiped out both of my companies. There were no speaking events and there were no DJ events for 7 months. That's zero revenue. I had to learn very quickly how to do what I do on stage as far as a speaker in
Mm-hmm.
front of a little webcam. And then when I figured out how to do it and I got comfortable doing it, what do you know? I started making money again, doing what I love to do, which is be a storyteller, a teacher. My t-shirt says Got Vision because I teach visualization for people
Mm-hmm.
and company teams to be able to see exactly not just what they want to create, but who they want to
Mm-hmm.
become in the process. That's a big part for me. And one of the biggest challenges, in addition to if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life, which I think is garbage. There's another one you've got to be very careful with because there is a fine line somewhere and you have to draw that line for yourself. And that is the hustle and grind mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Be very careful with that. There's nothing wrong with working hard. And if you want to create something, you do need to work very hard at it. But from my
Mm-hmm.
mid 20s to my mid 30s, I adopted the hustle and grind mindset. I worked 6 or 7 days a week to total exhaustion. Physically, I was falling apart. Emotionally, I was falling apart. My first marriage fell apart. Any shred of financial stability fell apart because to death. And I didn't stay in touch with all the people I should have stayed in touch with. I didn't didn't take mental breaks. I just kept working and working and grinding and grinding. And what happens is you can just drill yourself into the ground. And if you go, and I'm 6 foot two, so if I drill more than 6.5 feet in the ground, I can't see the sun anymore. So you need to be very aware of that. And the way I teach things, and everything I teach now is a result of what I did to my own life, that I survived at all intact and then recreated my life, is understanding 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you have at minimum these 8 areas of your life. And it's a standard tool in personal development. It's called the life wheel. And I've tweaked it to the way that I teach what I teach. So understand, while you're being an entrepreneur, while you're pursuing this, while you may be, as Mark said, working a full-time job, but starting this little entrepreneurial side hustle that could potentially turn into something, please keep in mind 24/7, your life consists of your physical health, your emotional well being, your closest
Mhm.
relationships, the core values that guide everything you do, every thought, every word, every action are guided by your internal rules that you need to adhere to if you want to stay within integrity. Your faith, if that's an important part of your life, which is very similar to core values, but you're operating by the lessons of a higher power. Your connection to the world in real ways, and that took a beating during the pandemic. So much isolation, loneliness, depression, addiction, and then your career and your money. Now, some people just go career and money and they burn out. They can fall out of love
Mhm.
with what they're doing. They can become frustrated. They can make some very bad decisions because they're not taking care of their full and complete self. So, as an entrepreneur, I believe you need to keep all of those areas of your life in mind. It's great to work hard. I've worked hard. I still work hard. But I also
Mhm.
remember now all of those other areas of my life. And some people say, I'm going to put my head down, I'm going to grind for 30 years and then enjoy life. Well, if you do that, and I had somebody in their mid 20s say that to me, Steve, I'm going to make $1 million this year. I said, great, wonderful. I love that. How are you going to do it? I'm going to work 80 to 100 hours a week every week and just go, go, go. And I asked, are you married? He said, yeah. I said, you won't be. A year from now, you may not be, because you have just put the blinders on and that's all you're focused on, and you're forgetting,
Mhm.
you got work and money, you're forgetting the other 6 areas of your life. And as somebody who torched a first marriage, who burned out in a radio career, who once sat for an hour, or stood for an hour under power lines in a thunderstorm at a golf driving range, taking out his frustration and self-loathing about wrecking his life on a bucket of golf balls, daring the lightning to hit him. If you don't take care of all those areas of your life, you're probably going to burn out, you're
Mhm.
probably going to burn down, and you're probably going to break apart. And it's a very ugly thing. I managed to survive mine and then created an amazing life that I still get to live now.
Mhm.
But be very careful out there. It's not a balance between work and life.
Mhm.
It's an integration of all those areas I talked about. And I mean, everything Mark said is dead on. I wanted to add that part to it,
Mhm.
to keep in mind that you are a full and complete human being. And whether or not you're paying attention, areas of life are happening and they depend upon each other as well. So to be very careful
Mhm.
with that. But if you got a passion, oh, oh my gosh, pursue and
Mhm.
figure out a way to make surround yourself with the right people to do it. Have a system like Mark talks about, a plan, have the right
Mhm.
leadership. I don't want to be in charge of what I do. So I have people that I leverage to find me speaking gigs, to get me on podcast. I've been on over 300 podcasts all around the world in many countries. And I absolutely love what I do and gain a very good reputation doing what you do, because you have solid core values. Mine are: build the best relationship, create a vision with everybody you talk to about the outcomes of the two of you sharing your energy, cultivate kindness with every conversation. And the fourth one is my favorite: be fun as heck to work with. So those are my thoughts on the entrepreneurial mindset, and hopefully that's helpful to somebody who might be out there listening right now.
Thank you, Steve. This is wonderful. And then one thing I just remember that you said, that we have to balance things. Not only work and career, you have to balance. You have to balance so that cannot be burnout. Because most of the time we work so hard, we do have time for ourselves and for family. And after we gain everything that we needed, and we realize the most important thing in life is our health and our family. Then it's a great point that we have to balance those things. And then, Steve, you say that you were DJ, and after the pandemic, your business closed. Then now you just launching a business. And then, would you get in mind to go back to the same business that you had in the past, or you just like give up because the field that you had in the past because of the pandemic you stop it? But do you have in mind to continue that business? Do you have in
Well,
mind
the
to do
DJ
that?
business did stop because I decided to stop it after so long. During the
Okay.
pandemic, I got to spend a lot of weekends with my wife, Tina.
Okay.
And as events were starting to happen again, I had some on the schedule because they were rescheduled. And I looked at her and I said, "Babe, do you mind if I stop DJing?" And she said, "How long you been doing this?" I said, 28 and a half years. She says, "Oh my gosh, I
Wow.
can't believe you're still doing it." I said, "I'm just not passionate about it anymore.
Okay.
Plus, do you enjoy having me home on the weekends?" And she just looked and laughed and said, "Well, stuff's getting done. So yeah, go ahead." And I stopped, but my speaking business. So it didn't
Okay.
necessarily, I didn't end it. I just had to bounce it off the wall a different way and learn virtually. So I built this recording studio. We had just bought our house shortly before, and I built the studio. So I had the setup. I just needed to learn because it's very different doing things virtually
Hmm.
versus in person. So I just had to, from the waist up, learn to convey myself effectively as a speaker
Hmm.
to a little tiny camera instead of a room with 500 people in it. So
Okay.
it's just you just have to kind of learn to do things a different way sometimes, and it can radically change your business because then I didn't have to go to an airport. I could just turn on the camera, put on my Got Vision shirt, and teach visualization and vision boards to a company
Man,
halfway around the world,
like,
and then go upstairs and sit down and snuggle next to my wife, and only to have her ask, "Did you tell our love story, how we fell in love?" I said, "Yeah," and she rolled her eyes, and she would say,
mhm.
"Aren't you tired of telling that yet?" And I said, "No way, baby. We've got a love story that got me on Oprah's radio network telling that story over and over." And that's now a part of my business is teaching about creating a vision for your dream relationship. And we managed to do that for 17 and a half years.
That's wonderful, Steve. Thank you so much for sharing all your experience about businesses, because we do need that. Because in this world right now, as many people say, Mark, you says that if we would like to get money, we need to think about businesses. This is very important that we need to think about that. Okay. And then, by the way, we have another guest right here, and then his name is John. I don't know if everybody knows about John. Jen is my co-host. He have been in travel now. He's come back, and then John. Now we're going to be the third person. I'm going to be the last. Jen, welcome. How are you doing? How was your trip?
Was busy, very busy. 16 million people doing Roadrunners for the fifth year, second head in security. So it was a little bit tiring. So after this, I'm definitely going to rest. I started my day at 4 a.m., had to get there at like 8 a.m., and we wrapped up just about 7 o'clock tonight. So it's a very long day.
Wonderful, wonderful, John. John, I'm glad that you join us tonight. And then we have three guests. We have Mark, we have Steve. You can greet each other before you just say something to wrap up, and then to say something to end the show in a few minutes. Mark, this is John, and Steve, this is John. He's my co-host for 5 years. I remember because we met since 2020, and then we just do show together every Sunday. I just stopped for a couple of weeks, but now I start. I continue. Then he's with us right now, and this is Steve, and this is Mark. You can greet
Patty,
each other,
Patty,
obviously.
nice to meet you guys. Again, sorry I'm a little late, but like I said, today was a this is something that's planned. Like we're already planning next year's for next year. It's always the same week every year, so it's a fun project. What is tonight's topic?
Okay, I already sent it to you. Maybe you on the plane and share it because
I might
uh,
not have because I literally came in right with my uniform still on. Say,
okay, all right.
let's see,
Just sorry about that.
let
And
me
then
see if
the
you sent it to
topic
me.
is how to nurture and develop the entrepreneurial spirit within you to take action. Is the topic that we have for tonight.
So I think that's a great topic because a lot of people want to do something, but then they don't take the action. I tell people all day long, of course, you can meditate and do all these great things. They're wonderful, but they in themselves don't get you anywhere. They get you in a mind state so that when the inspiration knocks on your door, you have to answer it. You have to, as I would say, make the call, do the proposal, shake the hand, give the speech. You have to take some kind of action. And in terms of business, business is all about how we can help others. I think a lot of people in business are about how can I get money from you, but that's the wrong attitude. We have to focus on how I can deliver value to you. What value can I bring you? Of course, if I bring you value, you're going to want to pay me. But let's forget about the money right now. Let's just think about the value, how we can empower people to have better lives. I always use the example, I can lead you to water, but I'm not going to try, nor do I want to make you drink that water. You have to be hungry to be able to want what it is. It's one thing, to see other people say, oh, gee, I want that. But if you just want something because you see other people have it, that's not it. You've got to have a very loud why in your heart. And that loud why is going to get your purpose on track and get you to start taking the actions and getting you into alignment of what you need to be. So I think regardless of whether you're starting business or you're in business for many years like I am, I think the choice to grow your business has to first be how can I help my client? How can I help my customers? What can I do? How can I deliver value to them? And then once you've learned how you can deliver value to them, then you're going to see that they're going to keep coming back to you, whether you're a coach, entrepreneur, engineer, whatever it is. So I think the best way to deliver value is figuring out how can we deliver value for ourselves. If we can deliver value for ourselves, then we can adapt that and help our clients, our let's say our audience on podcasts or audio casts or radio or TV. We can get them to do that because what I found is a lot of people that are coaches, they say all this stuff, but you know what? They've never drank the Kool-Aid. They've never walked the walk. They've done the talk, but you've got to get in the trenches yourself. You've got to roll up your sleeves and literally get into what it is. And I think a lot of people out today think there's a magic bullet. I'm here to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, there is no magic bullet. The magic is you staying on track with your purpose so that you can create, so that you can build. And whether it's for your life or whether it's for business, I think it's important to realize what it is you want and what your core values are. I always say to people, don't be someone else that person's already taken. Be yourself.
Thank you, Mark.
And that's
Thank you,
basically it.
John,
Be
for
be yourself
a
because if you
wonderful
could be
word.
yourself, then you make a change.
I like that. Yes, too. I don't know if you guys have question for John because the thing that I like John says be yourself because many people try to imitate others. You know what I'm saying? People try to be Arnold, to be Steven Stallone. Many people try to imitate someone, but when you become yourself, you discover yourself, your innate potential, you can develop your divine gift to offer to the community, to the world. This is wonderful print because I cannot be Mark. Mark cannot be me. I cannot be Steve. I cannot be John. I have to be myself, Daniel. It's very important. about that last word you just said, John. Thank you so much for
And you
that.
said something
How
very
about
interesting,
you,
Daniel.
Mark? Do you have a question for
I had,
John?
yeah, I had a person, real quick thing. I just want to tell you, I had a person. It was a few weeks ago. I was running an event, and I said something, and I'm not political at all, but I said something about our president that it was good that they did something. Didn't know it was going to create a big fiasco. As soon as I said that, they immediately blocked me out because they said, "Well, you're a this supporter." I said, "I'm not any supporter. I'm just saying it was good the
Hmm.
person did that." And I said, "If you have to now kowtow to all these things and you can't have a backbone, then you're really
Hmm.
not somebody I want in my life."
Thank you, John. John, how can I help people that have business? Because you have been in the business industry for many years. Now the topic is how you can motivate people to take action. Because many people have many mind, but they just say, "I cannot do it now. Let me leave it for tomorrow, for later." And then specifically when people are struggling to have finance, how we can help those people to take action quickly. This is simple. I just said that question many over with Mark and with Steve, but I would like you to answer
Mhm.
in your own way, in your own experience, how you can help those people to take
So,
action that entrepreneur spirit that within them.
money is just is not a is we think of it as a currency, but money is really just energy.
Mm-hmm.
Money is how we share back and forth. And so what I would say to that is, how can we help people? We first have to figure out, how can they help themselves? And if they can see
Mm-hmm.
how they can help themselves, then they can help other people. Say, "Well, John, how do I make a million? How do I do this?" I said, "Well, don't worry about making a million. Why don't you just figure out how you can help people be a little bit better than where they are today? And then maybe they're not going to get to a million,
Mm-hmm.
but you're going to get them a little bit better, and that's going to do it. And then that progressiveness of us constantly reflecting on it is going to get I call it our RAS, or reticular acting system, to start looking for the things in our life that are going to change our brain. Our brain is not wired for success, unfortunately. When we come out of the womb, our brain is wired for survival. And so, it's like, "Oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh, if I do this, what's going to happen to me?" We have to be able to push that envelope. So when we push the envelope a little bit further, what happens is our brain's like, "Oh, you know what? I didn't burn. I didn't, like, I can do this." And you have to keep pushing yourself,
Mm-hmm.
because, as I said, the comfort is not where success lies. And if we understand all those things, and we want to know how to help somebody in business, I think it really just comes down to two things. One is they need to be the person they want to be when they're around people, but they also need to be that
Mm-hmm.
person even when I'm not around you, because that's really what defines the character. And our character is what defines trust and bonds. And that's what builds relationships. And people do business with those that they know, like, and trust.
Mm-hmm. That's true, John. Thank you so much. And then I don't know if Mark and Steve have question for John, and then I would like to listen to them before I just say something about that topic. Do you have question for John, Mark?
No, I don't have any question, but I agree with everything
Mark, do you have
that you
question for
said.
John?
The No, can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. Daniel, can you
Yes.
hear him okay? Your audio
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah. No.
Yes, I
Yeah.
can hear you
Like I
now.
say, I don't have. Yeah, I don't have any questions. I mean, I concur. I agree with everything that you said, and people like to do business with people that like and trust, and it's the same thing, in the corporate world as well. And as you move up the corporate ladder or whatever, people like to be around people that like and trust. So that's very important in business. And I totally agree. And then if I wanted to go back to something that Steve said earlier as well about the balance thing, and it's not all about. I mean, you're putting a lot of. I mean, working 24 hours a day or whatever is probably not going to do it. Is you have to balance things out. You hear the term sometimes. I said, health is wealth. You know, So you gotta take care of yourself, because you can't do the things that you want to do if you're not healthy. And then, healthy, it's not just, the physical. It's physical, it's mental, it's all that stuff. And you gotta take care of it. And for me, there are certain things that I do not negotiate. Regardless of how busy I am, there are certain things that I need to do. Whether it's like I like playing soccer. That's one way I get my cardio up and do my exercise and so forth. And I don't care what I have going on, what I'm doing, how busy I am. I'm gonna play soccer. I'm gonna find time to make it happen when I'm supposed to. So it's like that integrations between the yes, you have to work hard to make a living, but you also have to take care of yourself. That's also very important.
Yeah.
And you did
Yep.
so, and you did something very interesting, which is I tell people this all the time. So, a while back, I said to people, I wanted to even, I loved being healthy and I loved doing all kinds of exercises. But I said, you know what? I said, I need to do more exercises. But I said, when is there time? I said, well, there is time. I need to stop making excuses and make time. So I got up a half hour early every day to do 30 minutes of exercise. Now that I got into that routine for several weeks, I feel guilty if I don't do that. And if I can't do it because I'm running late, I will have to do that before I go to sleep. So we have to build those things to build positive habits. A lot of us have negative habits. If we can build the positive habits, enough of those, that's what's going to put us on autopilot to be success. But I want to caution people, don't put your whole life on autopilot. I'll tell you
Yep.
what happens if you do. It's like the days, the hours, the minutes. It just goes past. And I've had this. We all have had this happen. I said, okay, I need to focus on the moment, and I need to stop autopiloting things. I need to change things around. I need to not make my show the same time. I need to give some flexibility so that
Hmm.
I'm not in a time zone crunch. Don't have the same lunch at 12 o'clock. Have a little bit of a non routine. And you say, well, gee, life is different. Don't eat at the same restaurant. Don't make the same turn going home. Do
Hmm.
Yeah.
something different.
Yep. I like that. I like that. I like
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
And you, Steve, do you have some
And
question for
yeah,
John,
actually, what
Steve?
John just said set me up perfectly, because
Oh,
he's exactly right. Because two things that I make time for every single day. First one is putting pen to paper and writing down things I'm grateful for, and not
I
Mhm.
love
just
that.
broad brushing. Not saying I'm thankful for my job, my spouse, and my house, because you see those people again a month later, and you go, "Hey, what are you grateful for today?" And they go, "I told you, my job, my house, my spouse." I'm like, "Oh my God,
Mhm.
your energy sucks now. It wasn't as good as the first time you said it." So I'll say, okay, your job. Who was your favorite person you got to help this week? What was, and this is something perfectly John said. If you're an entrepreneur, think of the pains people have and how you can make them go away. So whenever I'm networking with people, if I've never met them, I'll say, hi, my name is Steve. Who was your favorite person you helped this week, and how did you make that pain go away?
Hmm.
You want to see people's faces change, and they start to take pride in what they do that sets them apart and makes them unique. That's amazing. And as far as your house, great. What was your favorite thing to happen in your home yesterday? And with your spouse, your partner,
I love
what
that.
was your favorite
Love that.
moment with them? I've put pen to paper now
Mhm.
14 and a half years. And even on the worst days of my life, almost 11 months ago, I unfortunately lost my wife of 17 and a half years, Tina. And
Sorry to
people
hear
have
that.
said,
Sorry to
how
hear
can
that.
you, thank you. People said,
Goodness.
how could you be grateful for anything on that day? I said, you know what? Because when I found her, she had a heart episode. She still had a pulse, and she passed away
Hmm.
in my arms with me telling her how much I love her. And so there's something every day to be grateful for. No, not every day above ground is a great day, and some speakers also like to say this. I was throwing out some overly told phrases earlier, John, and that's another one. Every day above ground is a great day. Nope,
I
big
love
lie.
that. I love that phrase. Love that
Yep,
phrase.
it's an opportunity, and if you take a different road to get home one day, oh my
Hmm.
gosh, one of your senses is going to catch an opportunity, and you're going to have a conversation. I've literally been hired for speaking events because of a conversation I had that I'd never had before with somebody I'd never met before, talking about pains that I help people to overcome. And they said, oh, do you speak at companies? Yes, I do. So taking a different way, talking to different people, expressing yourself in different ways, focusing on all areas of your life, phew, your senses get so sharpened to the
Yep.
opportunities that are out there. When everybody else is staring at their phone, their feet, or complaining on
Mhm.
social media, you get to be the person out there with the metal detector finding gold. If you just keep what John just said, vary your routine and talk to different people and take different ways home and be grateful for different stuff every day and stop and take a look around
Mhm.
every once in a while. And instead of just staring at your shoes walking up that mountain, look around the mountain, see who's coming down, who's already been to the top, and ask them a couple of questions. You might just your mind
The
might get blown.
the attitude of gratitude.
Yep. Yep.
Mhm.
Huge.
Yes, thank you so much, guys. I'm going to say something quick about that topic that my own experience that what I could say to everybody that in watching us tonight and then watching two wonderful people, they got businesses, they have a lot of experiences about that. You can learn from them. What I'm going to say as a host of the show about businesses, I've been creating my own businesses in 2004, like DB services and language translating. What I do as an artist, I'm a fine art painter and I do graphic design and I'm all the minister, I'm a pastor and I do things that I love, and I take action quickly. What thing come in my mind, and I take action. After taking action, I can ask advice. Right, do it to ask for feedback. But when the idea come in mind, the first thing I do after praying to God is take action. I'm going to say something to everybody that is watching right now, and then the first you have to do, you have to find your passion and purpose. Because when living in a world, people lose their own passion, their own purpose. People live to please people. I'm so sad to see many people go to TikTok not to do anything serious, only to make people laugh. You know, they shake their body, and after couple months, they get a lot of viewers. That's fine, but after a couple years, that kind of thing never work anymore. People forget about you. But when you can find your passion and purpose, that's something unique from you, and then that will help you to identify what you love. Entrepreneurship requires a lot of hard work. You know, if you have to get the business, do something people can learn from you, people can benefit from you. You know, it requires a lot of work. It's not only good media make people laugh, then shake your body. It's not about that. Something different. And so choose something you are genuinely passionate about to sustain your motivation. Something you can do. You know, everybody. If you do something about motivation and passion, you're gonna be tired about that. If no people like your comment, like your show, sometimes you do something good, people cares about that. But after a few years, people will remember what you've done. Then even if you do something, make people laugh. So something curious. There's somebody that did the food every day. You know, they go into a park, they go into the shower, they post that. People like them. That's okay. But after a few years, that will have no significance to anybody that watching that. And then gotta say, focus on your niche. Concentrate on
Mhm.
perfecting your product or service and learn from your customers to stay authentic. Sometimes you have to be like somebody. As I remember we say that before, like Steve say, I cannot be like Mark, I cannot be like John, I cannot be like Steve, be myself to be authentic. What I do, I'm a painter, I'm an artist. I have to do things that can please customer portray, but I have to be authentic. I have to get my own thought. That I'm authentic with my art. I'm authentic with my book. Very important. And then align with my value. I'm a man of God. I have to understand that God, myself, and people, my family, I have to values morality. I have to value love. I have to value, something great, and to align with my business, honesty, integrity. That's very important. And then you have to make sure your work is connected to your personal values. It's very important about that for greater job satisfaction and a strong drive, and a stronger drive. And then everything you do have to put it to your value. Somebody told me before, Daniel, why don't you change your topic? People don't trust about your topic. You speak English all the time and then you speak four languages. Do it in French, do it in Spanish. I say, yes, I can do it, but I do what I love. You know what I mean? I do what I love. I do what I love. That's the way I love it. People love it. Okay, don't love it. I stay true to my value because I get a story beyond that. And then this is what I do. And then I cultivate a growth mindset. If you're a business, cultivate a growth mindset. You have to grow. You cannot grow your business until you grow yourself. That the law of the land. If you want to grow your business, you have to grow your 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 everything you want to do. You have to go yourself. You have to learn. You have to learn. That's why we say before. Many people say, Mark says that, Steve says that, John says that. We need to be a lifelong learner. You have to learn from
Yes, I say it all the time.
people that already get the way. Mark already gets success. John and Steve, I can learn from them, and then I can learn from everybody. And then we have to learn our own mistakes. Stay curious and open to a new ideas and perspective to adapt. To adapt to the constantly changing business landscape. For example, I remember when I first published my book, and then it was 2020, and then Mark told me, Daniel, do a podcast. And then it was for me no idea because I didn't have in my mind to have a podcast with the book, but I did follow, is no idea. And then it worked for me. And my now is with too many thousand people over the world. And then that's the way it is. And then embrace failure. When you get a business, we have to embrace failure. If you fail, for example, view mistake as learning opportunities and don't be afraid to try again after setbacks. You can start a business, nobody cares. You don't have a lot of clients. Keep on, keep on, keep on, keep on until you get the client that you need. Set achievable goals. Break down large projects into smaller. You cannot do great thing, as John says, Mark says that you cannot if you cannot start a business, with $20,000, but you can start it with 5,000. 5,000. Start it small because every good business is never small, never start great. They start small. As
Mhm.
Mark said, McDonald businesses, as you know, they never start great. They start small, and then after they become a chain. There are a lot of businesses everywhere. And then don't be afraid to try again after setback. It's very important. And then the thing is, stay focused and build momentum. Sometimes you can be distracted by the public. If you're in the podcast now, Mark, you're doing behind every number, and Steve is doing about fire word, and then John is doing. I remember John is doing Achieve and Believe, right? And then even if people
Believe.
don't follow you, people don't give you a like, don't care. Just keep on. Sometimes you see people doing something radical, something strange. You get 1,000 view. That's the world because this is kind of generation that we're living. People more attract to things that make them for, or it could let them, but that's something that can help them grow. And then don't care about that. Keep doing your show. Keep posting videos until you're gonna reach the majority of people that know the value of thing that you're doing. This is the law,
Yes.
of
Yes.
momentum. You know,
Mhm.
take calculated risk. Carefully weigh the potential rewards in weeks before making important decisions. You have to get about the risk. When you want to start a business, okay, I know business, maybe I can get profit and maybe you can lose. I remember Mark did
Mhm.
want to say that. I remember Mark and I started a business in the R since 2019. Remember, Mark? We stayed to the mini market, and then we didn't know if pandemic we will come at that time. We didn't expect pandemic, COVID-19. After Mark and I, Mark took me as an associate. Mark spent a lot of money, get location, a lot of million pesos to spend. The business didn't last for 1 year before when the pandemic came, and then we didn't expect that because just the pandemic, and then but the thing is, Mark didn't give up. He keep on doing, just create no businesses, and then what I really like about that, we didn't calculate that business. Maybe we did different ways, but what I say that even if we didn't expect the pandemic, because Mac did decision about the chicken stuff. He knew Haiti will have a love problem, but the pandemic nobody knows about the pandemic, right,
Mhm.
Mark? Nobody knows. Just boom, everything collapsed. But after God had a plan. He restored him to find a business. And then you can watch that as an example. Everything you do, follow your God, follow your passion, follow your desire, follow your purpose. Especially put God in it. Pray before doing anything, because God is the one that will lead you to the right path. And then passion and purpose. Know what your purpose. Everybody, God created everybody in this world for a reason, for a purpose. Follow your purpose. Align that with your passion, and then you will realize nothing will stop you. You get applause from the public, that's fine. You don't have applause from the public, will keep on, because something you will love, something you're passionate about, that's your purpose. You don't have approve from the public, you have approve from God, until when your business start up, people will love what you're doing, because what you're going to do is going to be unique. It could be service that you're selling from your talent, from your gift. It could be your coach, it could be whatever thing you can do, it could be business, food, everything. Let your food be unique. McDonald's has their own recipe that's unique. Do something unique. You can learn from others, but be yourself. This is the way to grow. That can take
Absolutely.
time.
Absolutely.
Don't worry. You're going to get to the bottom line. When you go there, you'll never get back. Authentic makes you unique. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I want to end with one thing, and that is when Steve was talking about the different questions, and I love asking people different
Question
questions. The
about
question I always ask a question to people, and it kind of puts them off a little bit, because when I network, they expect a question of what do you do, where are you from. I don't do those things. I said, so it's Joe, right? Joe, I got a question for you. Can I ask you a question? Sure. What gets you up every morning? Why do you get up out of bed every morning? What makes you get out of bed every morning? And the people that can answer that question are the people I want to do business with, because they have their passion insight.
Amen. That's true.
Yeah,
That's true.
love that.
Thank you, John. If you have a question for me, or like you can give me one more question if you want to, because I can. If you have a question for me, Mark, if you have a question for me, Steve, John, listeners, do you have a question for me? People have been watching, do you have a question for me? People is watching, and then nobody have a question.
No, I love
Okay,
what you shared. That was
Very
wonderful.
good.
I
okay,
Very
I
good.
no questions. You spelled it out beautifully.
Yeah,
okay.
none for
And
me
then
either.
thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. And then be yourself, be authentic. Authenticity make you great. And then we're going to end up the show. Say bye to everybody. Mark, Steve, John, say hi to everybody. And then tell them where they can find you, Steve. Find them where they can find you in Facebook, right, Steve?
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook and LinkedIn. That's where I spend most of my time on social media. Just
Oh,
look up Steve Gamlin,
okay,
GAMLIN, and my website is stevegamlinspeaker.com.
perfect. And Mark, last time when they can find you again, can say something to finish
Yes.
one more time.
So I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram under Behind Every Number. And then there's also a website, behindeverynumber.com. The website, we're in the process of updating it. I mean, there is some stuff on there, but we're here in the process of updating the website as well. So, yep.
Perfect. Thank you. People can watch Mark and Steve to the social medias. Now about you, John, where people can find you there.
I make it really easy for people to find me because I have lots of social media and I create lots of content, also being a video producer and engineer. Just go to believemeachieve.com and you'll find all my social media and all the companies I own. Just believemeachieve.com, because you have to believe before you can achieve anything.
All right, thank you. You can find DB Talk Show on Facebook and YouTube. And then you can find also Daniel Bernabe Daily Inspiration Quote. This is the book that I have on Amazon. If you want to read more about my books, it's published in three languages. French, I can say English, French, and Spanish. If you are trilingual, you can learn from those books. Thank you so much, everybody.
Mhm.
Have a wonderful night. May God bless you.
Good night,
Have a
everyone.
wonderful
Good night.
week. God
Bye.
Thank you.
bless.
Good night.
Bye bye. Bye bye, everybody.
Bye.
Mhm. Bye.
Bye.